Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Gabe Pyle. I'm the program director for the Industrial and Innovative Design program at the International Center for Creativity in Columbus, Ohio. And I'm here with another grad. There's another interview that I've done that is with Steve Lewis. This is with Kaitlyn Lewis. They were both students of mine in the past. Kaitlyn had a different last name when she was a student, but their life has changed dramatically since they graduated. If you want to hear more about Steve's part of the story, you can watch that interview. We're here to hear about Kaitlyn's part of the story, and I'm excited to hear from her because she's bringing something to the table that none of my other interviews have brought so far, but I'm excited to get into it. So enough from me. We want to hear from you, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn, first of all, thanks so much for joining us. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So, Kaitlyn, we would love to hear a little bit more about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what year you graduated, and what you're up to now.
Yeah, sounds good. I graduated in 2014. Steve and I, as you alluded to, got married in 2015. So that's like 10 years-ish and change
Yeah.
that we've been working, and it's been awesome. We are currently living in Portland, Maine, because post-COVID, it turned out you could work remote, and we didn't want to be in Portland, Oregon anymore, so we went across the country. But yeah, so I don't know how all you want to talk about. You want the whole career spiel? You want...
Yeah, sure. If you want to give us an idea of, give us a summary, get as detailed or as broad as you would like, help us understand what that 10 years has looked like from when you graduated to where you are now.
Cool, sounds good. So I graduated 2014, like we said. That year I got a job as a contractor working at Bose. They're in Framingham, Massachusetts, and I grew up in Massachusetts. I ended up getting a walkthrough tour from another graduate. His dad worked there, and he took me on a tour. He was an engineer, but he showed me the industrial design group there. That team was incredible. They asked to see my portfolio. I showed them. They were like, your portfolio stinks. You're terrible, but we'll help you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I guess that's the first thing I just want to, like, as a caveat, as an aside, pray a lot, and God will put you in the right place, and people will help you along the way. So
Wow.
we did that. They edited my portfolio. They gave a lot of feedback. It was like a month of like workshopping it, talking through things. And eventually they're like, hey, we need a contractor. Will you come in as like a trial basis? I'm like, sure. So I started as a contractor for 6 months. Then they hired me on full time. I had about a year total of being an industrial designer there, and I turned out I didn't really like it.
Hmm.
But I got props over here. I had one product to my name. It has a design patent on it, and
Wow.
that was pretty cool, pretty fun adventure. But
Okay, it's Bose, so I assume
yeah,
that's some kind of speaker.
yeah, it was a 5-point speaker. It was like super cool. It was like their high-end sound entertainment, whatever for people. And I had let's see, there would be 5 of these, and then there was a sound bar, and then the other people on the team did like the subwoofer and all the other whatever's. I don't know. I've lost the lingo. It's been 10 years, but uh, yeah, we made a bunch of cool things. That was great. A year in, they hired their first color material finish designer, also known as a
Mhm.
CMF designer. They hadn't had one up until that point, so every designer was doing their own color material finish, graphics, whatever. So everyone was an island, and nothing had a holistic point of view for the company. So they hired their first CMF designer, and she was like, holy smokes, you mean I'm doing everything from the ground up? Shoot, I need help. So I started helping her because it was fun, and it turned out it was amazing. So I spent 4 years doing color and material finish with her. That's It was so cool and so fun, and really, I guess maybe I should explain a little farther why I deviated from like strict industrial design. I felt as I was in it that everyone around me could see in 3D really well.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know if this is Bose specific, but like they would draw a napkin sketch and then just build it in CAD. And I could never like wrap my head around that fast enough. I couldn't build it in 3D fast enough. Like, I didn't visualize things the way they did. And when I found out CMF was a path and a role and like a different take on it, I loved it because it's so tactile and so like emotive, I guess, in a way, like the emotion behind it and the feeling behind it. And it was just, oh, it was awesome. So we would make seasonal palettes, come up with a color story, work with the engineers on what materials went where, work with the industrial designers on like what fit with their vision. So it was great because I knew all the industrial design lingo, but could kind of then make their product more complete and make it complete across the lineup of offerings, from speakers to headphones to whatever else. But I was there for 4 years, and then I got someone LinkedIn me and said, we have an opportunity for a material designer at Jordan. Do you want to come interview? Sure, I'll interview. So they flew me across country. I did an interview. They hired me. So Steve and I packed up and moved. And I worked first as a designer one in Jordan doing kids' shoes.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was so freaking cool. Going from basically designing and putting color on plastic and metal housings, a lot of black and a lot of silver and a lot of white, because products there have to last a long time. People have to like them for a long period of time, so you don't get a lot of expressive colors usually. To designing for kids, which is just the Wild West. Like you can do anything you want, and it was so much fun. And it was like the category that it didn't get a lot of recognition, right? Like everyone wanted to be in the higher end men's, women's shoes, like that had a lot of street cred and it was cool, right? And like there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen having opinions on it, but kids, nobody really cared. You could just throw the kitchen sink at it and it was a blast. Problem being, there wasn't a lot of room to grow from a career point of view. So I did all the things, talked to whoever I had to talk to, begged and pleaded. I was like, please put this as a higher level because I can't stay a D1 any longer. And there was just no availability. And they said, if you want to move up, you have to leave. So I was like, okay. Which is something that people will tell you a lot, especially young designers. You should be moving around careers as much as possible because once you get older, it doesn't look good. But it also doesn't look good if you haven't been to enough places. Jump around, go to a bunch of places, and then settle down, basically, is the gist. So I did that. And I went to Logitech, went back to consumer electronics. I got the promotion. I got senior designer. I went from D1 to senior designer, which was kind of bananas. Yeah. And then realized that the grass isn't always greener with a fancy title. It wasn't as fun. There was a lot more. Oh, I don't have any Logitech products here. Oops. Missed something in my looking around the house for fun.
That's okay. I imagine anyone's watching this, they can probably just look around.
Just like find a mouse. And there I was doing mostly trend forecasting and color. But they as a company were cool, but they were definitely second adopter kind of mentality, in which case, what is everyone else doing? Follow that. Less so than, so like Bose was more like trend setting in the terms of like engineering advancement. They were just always innovating. It doesn't matter if it never makes it on a product, just try stuff. It's cool. Jordan was like that too, where it's just like sample stuff, try stuff. Is it cool? Can we afford it? Make it. And then Logitech was like, who's done it? How long have they done it? Like, is that going to make us a lot of money? And it was just there was less energy, there was less fun. So I ended up going back to my old manager at Jordan. I was like, what you got? And she said they had a role in Jordan women's footwear. So I moved into that, did that for a while. So I was in Jordan for another 1.5 years and then had kids and quit.
And I can't wait to get into that particular decision and conversation as well. But that is the summary that brings you up to where you're at now. So you said you had kids. How many and how old?
2 kids, 6 months and 2.5, and they're awesome. It's a joy. It's a delight. It's fun.
I have to imagine, knowing both you and Steve, that you produced 2 of the coolest kids in the world.
They're pretty cool.
That's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so you held up one of the things that you designed, the one thing that you industrial designed from
hmm
Bose. Are there other things that you could show us? Some of the stuff that you designed?
Yeah, I got these were from Bose. This was a Apple exclusive colorway. It was oh gosh, what was the name of this? Midnight Navy and copper, I guess. And it had this was like a pretty cool fun thing because we had to figure out how to get this finish that went from a bead blasted matte finish to high gloss on an aluminum surface. And that was tricky business, but we figured it out and it was only a run of like I don't know how many, 10,000 or something, so we could do it. And then what else do we have here that's fun? I have lots of shoes. These were Day of the Dead exclusive for Jordan. These were fun because they had shoes across Nike and Jordan, so we had to collaborate with the different brand. And there was like 5 or 6 different shoes that came out. So this is when I was doing material for Jordan. We got a bunch of cool little fun Easter eggs everywhere. There's freaking teeth on it. That was cool. Um, let's see, what else do we have? I was in men's for a hot minute doing AJ1s and retros. I don't know if I actually did these ones, but I did 5,000 other ones that looked pretty much identical. That's another thing, designing things heritage that are same but different. You gotta like constantly like churn the ideas that feel familial but are different. Um, what else we got? This one, Dornbecker exclusive. These were fun because a short timeline, no budget, and you just make something that a kid from Dornbecker Hospital wanted to make. It was kind of like a Make-A-Wish sort of a style project where they gave them some line art to draw on and color, and they just like, what do you want on this shoe? And we made it for them, and it was so much fun. Yeah, so there's other stuff hanging around here, but yeah, that's a few of the highlights that I could find rummaging.
So I asked Steve after he had worked on some shoes. I said, do you own any of the shoes that you designed? And his answer was, to put it shortly, no. You obviously have some of the shoes that you worked on, but specifically you worked on kids, and I know you have kids. Do your
Yeah.
kids wear any of the stuff that you worked on?
Not yet. I didn't take with me enough stuff while I was in that category, but maybe someday. It's fun wearing things that you make, but I think it's more fun wearing things that other people make that you work
Yeah.
with. So like I have a bunch of stuff around that's like, oh, my friend did that, and I know she did that, and that feels a little cooler than just like walking around with stuff you made. It's a little embarrassing.
Back when you were at Bose and then at Jordan and then Logitech and then back at Jordan, what could your day to day have looked like? What does the life of a CMF designer look like?
Yeah. Okay. CMF. I'll just go through CMF because I feel like that's more where my heart lies and what I've been doing most recently. So there's how do I set this up? There's a lot of trend forecast research that gets done when you're a CMF designer. So you have to be, the more you see, the cooler your stuff can be, and you need to be on the kind of forward end of those trends. So you basically just have to do a lot of Googling and a lot of image searching and a lot of checking the forecast websites and seeing where things are. I found I would like set up like the first thing I would do every morning, like before I even checked email or anything, is I just like troll the blogs and all the sites and pull images. And I had just like folders on my desktop where like, oh, that image is cool. Oh, that image is cool. And I just dump it. And every couple of weeks I'd go through the image dump and be like, oh, look, these 10 images all fit into a theme. And I'd bucket them into some folder and name it something. And oh, look, I'm seeing this trend. And it's crazy how fast you can find your own trends and see what's going on just by pulling enough images of like current stuff. And then you would go into a meeting and they'd be like, I need an idea for this project. And you'd be like, here's 10. What do you like? And you never had to be like put on the spot. You could just have stuff ready to go. So like start of the day is just look for cool stuff and see what's happening. And then check your emails. Boring, but you got to do it.
Yep.
And then start in on your work, which is, let's see, in footwear, that would mean whatever season you're working on, there would be just start in on CADs or putting materials on things, or you go to the material library that just had like all your vendors swatches and start pulling stuff and putting things together into palettes and putting it on a shoe that fit your story or your narrative or whatever you're trying to go to. So I feel like it's hard to answer because it's different every day and it depends
Sure.
on what part of the development cycle you're a part of. But as a material designer, you're pulling cool swatches that fit with the narratives that you're put together before, and then you're applying it, and then later on in the development cycle you're getting samples in and you're reviewing it with the team and you're like, oh, that's terrible, hide that under a table, and the other ones are like, oh, that's cool, let's do that again. And yeah, just keeps on going.
We say CMF, and some people are like, "What's CMF?" And we say, "Oh, it's color, material, and finish." And they say, "Oh, yeah. Wait, what? What's the difference?" Certainly between color and material, we can make some
Yeah.
educated guesses. Could you help us understand what are some of the distinctions, especially between material and finish? I think the headphones that you had, the Apple exclusives. All right, so we're seeing it's a little bit more matte on the top, and then a little bit more glossy on the bottom. If
Yeah.
someone were to broadly categorize finish, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that also introduces CGM, which is color graphics materials,
Okay.
because people have found out that finish isn't really its own thing. It gets
Yeah.
lumped in with material. I think a lot of times we try to fit all of color, all of material, all of design into one unit just for clarity and keeping things concise, but they don't
Yeah.
always fit together because sometimes you're trying to have two like very different things come together and intersect, and so you kind of have to have multiple. So there's CMF designers,
Yeah.
and then there's color designers, and then there's material designers, and then there's graphic designers. Depending on where you're working, you might be doing all three, you might be doing just one.
Hmm.
So if you're on it in footwear specifically, it's one of the few places I know where they don't combine all three fields because it's just like so much product.
Yeah.
So you might have, if you're working in footwear, you might be working closely with the color designer who makes their mood board. You come in with the material mood board, design comes in with theirs, and then you've got a graphic team coming with theirs. So you could have very easily have at least four mood boards for one model
Yeah.
to show your intent. It depends on where you're working, is the gist of it. I found in a lot of consumer electronics companies, if you're doing the color, you're also doing the material and the finish and the graphics.
Okay.
If you're in fashion or soft goods of some kind, those roles are often split up because there's just so much product you have to cover. You can't do it all at once, which brings its own complications and trials because color and material is very hard to separate in general. One informs the other. Processes inform what colors you can use in the materials. So if you're in a place that separates those two, you better be best friends with your color designer.
And so then graphics are like, here's where the Bose logo goes, but also it's being informed by what material we're using for that, what color that needs to be, and what
Yes.
and the finished application of it. So yeah, it's not just like you're doing one and then you do the other and then you do the other.
You've got to wear a lot of hats when you're doing CMF of any kind because like at Bose, we didn't have a graphic designer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing a lot of our own graphics in addition to that, which is tough because just like I said, I wasn't a very good industrial designer. I'm not a very good graphic designer either, but I've had to kind of do that because it's part of the job description, right? So it's like if you want something cool, you have to figure out how to make it yourself because nobody else can do it.
So I know that someone who's working with a lot of CAD and designing something for manufacture, maybe taking work trips over to the manufacturing facility to get a better idea of how their products are actually being produced. What kind of work trips are you going on?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on what company you're a part of and what the state of the world is in. So when I was at Bose, I was going over to Europe, either Europe for shows or China once or twice a year. So I'd be going to different, let's see, when you go to the factories, it's looking at how well the color is being applied, what are the defect rates. You'd have to go through and do quality control inspections on stuff like that. And then the rest of it, you're going to trade shows and you're seeing different material vendors and things like that. So for when I was in Jordan and footwear, I traveled a lot less to factories and a lot more to go to whatever city and check out their museums and more trend research stuff, and then actually going to factories. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty great. You will learn more going to a factory one time than you ever could in any class ever. It's just like, it's a whole new world that your brain will just be exploding. Like, it's so strange. And you will become such a different designer seeing things get made, because you learn what the result is of your design decisions really fast. When you go to a factory, like, you can be like, oh, I designed this thing and it's so freaking cool and we're gonna make it. And then you go and you see somebody, like, there's a lot less automation than you would think there would be, and there's somebody over there hand making these things, doing these like I saw someone trying to like perf all of these holes, like the amount of like little nubbins that come out like when they punch these through, and just like coating people like everywhere. And you're like, I will never design another perf hole as long as I live, because I don't want to see somebody covered in tiny little plastic nubbins from like doing this. So like, it changes your perspective. It makes you design things differently in a way that's like, oh, somebody's got to make that. I got to make it so that somebody can make that, even if it looks less cool. So yeah, I think I went a little sideways to your actual question.
That is a much better answer than I could have asked for, because I remember at one point you spoke with some of our students and you said, yeah, I went to Fashion Week in Milan. And that's what I had remembered about, like, oh, that's a work trip that Kaitlyn could go on. Yeah. But everything that you just said, I think, is way richer than like, I went to Milan.
Yeah, you get to do, both are cool. Both change what you do. But
what I would love to do is I'd love to talk a little bit more about CMF and a career trajectory in CMF, especially for students who are interested in that as a career. But then I also would love to have a little bit of a conversation about what it looks like for you to weigh this career against deciding to stay home, because I know a lot of these students maybe will have that in the future. And so I'd love to talk about that a little bit as well. But if you wouldn't mind, could you give us an insight into if a student is thinking about a future in CMF? Maybe they feel like they can't see things in 3D the way that you mentioned, but they're really sensitive to the look of things, the styling of things, the trends of where things are going. First, we can ask, is there advice you might have for them at this stage, especially getting through school, where we are really focusing on the styling and the volume of a thing and the function of a thing? But also, I'd love to hear, if you were looking at their portfolio or you were interviewing them, what's something that you would want to see in their work? So we can start with the advice question. If someone is thinking about CMF as a career possibility at this point, what might you say to them?
Yeah, for sure. That's okay. First is, I've never seen someone working in CMF come from a degree that focused on CMF. They come from every different path. Industrial design, I've seen someone go through a master weaver, like hand weaving school. She was over in London doing whatever, weaving cool stuff, and she came in. I've seen architects become CMF designers. I've seen you name it, everyone comes in and is like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, they didn't know you could go to school for it. No one ever goes to school for it. They just like find themselves in it. So first thing I would say is, when you're designing, if you're designing for product right now, and that's where you're at, look at the color and material on the product you're doing, but try to see it, the strategy of the whole. If you're in industrial design, you get one product to work on, and you're working on that product. When you're in CMF, you're working on 500 different products that are all coming together to color and materialize in a way that makes the brand look holistic. So if you can think about your products in a way that strategizes where you're at for this one, where it would go to expand it to a unit of products, and then how it looks for the whole company, and then in addition to that, how does it look year after year? Because color specifically, maybe a little less so materials, but kind of, color specifically evolves, right? You're not going to go from like, this color red is on trend, to suddenly that color orange is the thing. right?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna like subtly shift as you go through the years. So it's like a little less blue in your red to a little more purple in your red, right? Like it like kind of expands like that. So yeah, try to, in whatever you're designing and whoever you're designing for, show that in your work, and have a lot of what we do is image searching and mood boards,
Mm.
and figure out how to make a mood board, not just so it looks cool, but so that it informs your design and your color material. So I've seen a heck ton of really cool mood boards that tell me nothing
Hmm.
and show me nothing and are completely unusable to designing a product, because once you get in there, you're like, oh, that doesn't, I can't take anything from that. I'm not actually inspired by that other than just that being a cool picture. So really like focus on that in your storytelling, to show CMF work if you want to be in that field. Let me try to think of a few bullet points of like making a good mood board.
Yeah.
It depends on what company you're in, because some companies like you to show the competitive set, like what are other companies doing, put their product in your mood board so we can see what's going on. And then some
Hmm.
companies that's like frowned on. It's like, oh, I don't want to see
Yeah.
what they're doing. I want to do what I'm doing.
Interesting.
So maybe not show competitive products in your mood
Yeah.
board. A mood board can be very useful with one image, and a mood board can be very useful with 10 images or 20 images.
Mhm.
There's not like a set number. But at the end of the day, when you show your mood board and you show your final product, you better be able to one-to-one see where you got everything.
Yeah.
And if you can't, go back and edit your mood board
Yeah.
so that it matches at the end. It's
Yes.
like design isn't like, it's like,
Yeah.
right? Like it changes, and that's cool. Everybody accepts that it changes for whatever reasons, but it better match at the end.
Kaitlyn, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear a little bit of your thoughts, or if you'd rather we frame it this way, I'd love for you to be able to share with these students, current and prospective students, some of the calculus you were doing when you worked at, honestly, some of the biggest companies that any of our grads have worked at. Then you had kids. What did the decision-making process look like for you? Or what do you wish you had heard as a student from someone with a career who had to choose, what does my life look like now that I have kids?
Yeah. The hardest part is that you can kind of do whatever you want. And nobody is gonna tell you one way or the other. And it's a lot of wherever God has you, and kind of, I don't believe in luck because I believe God has a plan for you, but it's a lot of timing involved in careers and where you get hired and where you go. So, first advice is get to know people, apply to a bunch of places, and keep applying until you hear something from somebody. You need to like figure out how to meet people, and you need to get a job. Because just because you meet somebody in a role and they are doing exactly what you want to do, they might not have the ability to hire you for a year or 2 years. It's like all aligning with where they are as a company. And so you just have to be top of mind for as long as possible to get your foot in the door to get a job. I realize that's the hardest part. It was for me. I was stressed out of my mind when I graduated because I'm like, what do I do? I hate talking to people. I don't know how to get a job, and I don't even know what I want to do. It was very hard, very confusing, but you just pray a lot and you make a cool portfolio and you keep trying to get your foot in the door. Once you do, things get a little easier.
Yeah.
And you go forth, right? And so then I guess what happened in my career then was I got stagnant. I got stuck because I was in a role that had no room for growth from a label point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a contractor, then I was a design one, and I was stuck in design one, even though all my friends around me were D2 or senior and like jumping up, and you look and you say, I want to be what that is. I feel like I'm behind. And I hope somebody here, when you get to that point in your career, you can think back to this moment when somebody's telling you, it's fine, take a deep breath. Because I didn't take a deep breath. I forced the issue. I moved to a different company doing something different, and I didn't like it. And the grass isn't always greener, and sometimes it can be hard to get out again if you get stuck in a career path doing something you don't love. I found out after leaving that I love designing kids' shoes, and I could never go back. I got back to the company, but I couldn't get back to the category because my spot had been taken, and other people were doing that role really well, right? So it's like, if God is moving you in a place and puts you somewhere, and you love everything about the job but the title, stick it out, because you might not get back to that place. I don't know if everyone would tell you that. Probably not, because in today's society, everyone's like, move the ladder. That's all you can do. Don't worry about a family. They're not important. Family is very important. It's the only important thing. And this might be fun, but it doesn't last forever, right? And so I found that in my own life and our lives, Steve, is that making products was fun, but there's a time limit on family, and you kind of have to get there when you can get there and try as hard as you can and pray, and God will work in you in that way and maybe change your heart, maybe change what you're interested in. He did for me, because I thought all I wanted to do was climb the ladder and design cool products, and I found out that isn't where I wanted to be anymore. And if we were going to have kids, I wanted to be able to raise them myself. I didn't want the government or someone else raising them for me, right? And childcare is really expensive. So it can take your entire paycheck. One couple's entire, like, one person provides for the family, the other person provides for childcare, is what I found. Everyone around me who I was working with that wanted to keep working when they had kids spent one entire paycheck on childcare.
Wow.
So now, and somebody else was raising their kids. And so that's not what we wanted to do. And God allowed us to have enough money set aside that I can stay home with them. So that's what we did. What is going to happen next? If I'll be able to still be in the game in 5 years or however much until they're in school, I don't know. But you pray and you keep your foot in the water, or your toe in the water, or your finger on the pulse, whatever the phrase is you want to do, and see where you go from there. So I don't know how helpful that is for somebody else having the exact same experience that I ended up having, but just to say that kids are important, and nobody wants to tell you that these days. They want to say that your career is the most important and you are most important, and self talk. But looking at self is selfish. And
Yeah.
I don't know how else to phrase that.
I love what you said, that I should have written it down, because the specific words that you used in the order you did, I think was perfect, captured it perfectly. But family has a time limit. I know kids can grow up so fast, and for us, we'll have a school year, and that school year will be over, and I'm like, whew, another 35th of my life. But how much I change in that year is dramatically different than how much a kid can change in a year. And there is a time limit on it. And I love what you said, the wisdom that you brought, because Lord willing, many of the people listening to this or watching this will get to be in that position where they get to make that choice, where they get to see where God is leading them. And so an encouragement to you, Kaitlyn, is we never know where we're going to be 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Like that is, it's in James, like we can make plans to go to such and such a place and do, this kind of business in a year, but we really don't know. Our life is a vapor. So all we can continue to do is trust God with the time that we have, with this moment, even just with this day. So I hope that God has that in store for you in the future, because I would love for you to be able to design baby shoes again. It seems like there's so much life in you when you're talking about that. And I love that.
It's the best. It's the best. And I get one more thing about that is a development cycle for products is 2 years. Development cycle for children is like 20 plus. So it's a whole nother ball game.
It's a whole nother ball game. Absolutely. Yeah. How do you think being a designer has changed the way that you raise kids, or has affected the way that you raise kids?
Oh, yeah. It's wanting to still be creative at all times and needing an outlet for it that isn't work related. So it's like my daughter, Marin, loves stories, like storytelling, doesn't want to read a book, wants you to come up with your own story for her.
Yeah.
Millions, so many every day. And I'm just like, what happens next to this imaginary cat that I invented that is going on all these adventures and like constantly coming up with new narratives and stories to like fulfill that. Yeah, just finding ways to have an outlet for creativity throughout the day that isn't kids' shoes. The other thing is when you're designing, your hobbies inform your design as well. So be interesting, have an interesting life, do interesting things, and you can design cool things, or you can raise a family in a cool way. So
Yes, 100% agree that if you have interesting hobbies, if you keep feeding yourself creatively, then that's going to inform your work, and it's just going to make you a more interesting person to interact with as well. Like a more full person. Do stuff. Find things that you like that bring you life, and what do you know? You'll act like you're more alive. Kaitlyn, this has been an absolute blast. I've honestly so encouraged by this conversation. Love seeing how alive you and Steve are. It seems like you're both doing so well. I'm so happy for you. So thanks for taking the time to chat with me for a little bit. If you had any final parting wisdom for students that are watching this video, what might that parting wisdom be?
I already kind of said it. Hobbies make your work more interesting. Grass isn't always greener with a fancy title. You are not designing for the consumer as much as you think you are when you're in a company. You're designing for the marketing team to be able to sell your product to the sales team who will buy it and put it in stores. So you need to switch your tactics depending on who's in the room.
Yeah.
Because the consumer is very rarely in the room with you. So how do I phrase that a little differently or expound upon that? Design will see your inspiration and your vision and be able to make the mental leap to how it will finalize on a product, right? You've had your mood board, you present that. Design's like, yep, got it. I see where you're going. You then show that to a marketing team who doesn't see as design sees, and they're like, I think I get it. Then they take that, you have no insight into it, and they present it to the sales team who's like, I need this to sell in my store because I know that this sold last time. You need to change your tactics, whoever is in the room with you, to present in a way that they will understand and want to make. Because the consumer's not over here like, I love it when you put this here on a shoe, right? Like they don't get that insight or that input necessarily.
Excellent. Well, Kaitlyn, thank you so much. You rock. Your life rocks. Thanks for sharing a little bit of that with these students. I hope that they can get something great out of it. So everyone who's watching, thanks so much for watching. Kaitlyn, thanks again for joining me and having this great conversation. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.